I have no idea what that means. And we're just giving this whole technology thing a shot. But go to Chris. Chris Rogers. I'm a creative, disabled, massive contradictions. We'll go with that. It's been okay. Been in the battles with the dragons lately. So, but we'll see how it goes. I wanted to show you guys this. This is MC Escher's The Man in the Reflecting Sphere. And this was a psychotic passion project that I took on and say, oh gosh, when would that have been? 2005, I want to say. And I was taking carving lessons at Klingspor's woodworking shop and asked my teacher what would be like one of the harder things that I could try and attack from an art point of view. And he gave me a few suggestions that were more in the architectural land. And I said, no, I'm really looking to do something like this. And then I showed him the Escher and he looked at me and just laughed and said, I don't see how it translates. And I'm like, I do. And began carving out of a 2-inch block of basswood all of the corner details. So the very first thing that happened was we plunged to the very bottom using a micrometer and a ruler with a gauge on it, a height level gauge. We're able to tell that there's about, a quarter to an eighth of an inch of wood remaining on the background. And then the relief of the hand was next. Being able to use my hand, which is, as you can see, pretty much the identical layout. And it's because I was modeling my own hand as I'm carving, which, if you can imagine, slightly terrifying to be doing two things with a knife in your hand. That's why my fingers have so many cuts on them. And then after, the globe was next, and that presented some challenges because that particular globe is all distorted. Escher drew it as if you were looking into a globe, and all of the mirrored features are distorted and twisted in this very Fish Islands kind of funhouse weird way. And so Escher's not quite symmetrical in his presentation. He's actually just a little cattywampus. The wall's cattywampus. The light that's coming out of the top, that thing's all over the place. There's a lot of interesting little details that are embedded in the books that are on the shelf above his head. It was a fun project, and it took a long time. I would estimate that there's about 600 hours, roughly, in that, many of which were spent sitting in my chair at home with a very loving wife and me making wood chips over next to the side of the chair. And sometimes I had a pillowcase in my lap. Sometimes I didn't. At the end of the day, we just shook all the chips off, swept them up, called it a day. And carving in your lap is not a bad go if you have something large like this that you can hang on to. Don't recommend it for the smaller little figurines. It's not wise to use a knife right in your lap that way. But yeah, the Escher was a great project, and I was really delighted. I submitted it in a contest and won my category, and life is good. But the recognition wasn't the deal at all. It was more, I took this idea that, as is so often in my life, someone says, that's not possible. And I say, watch this. And I tend to kind of put way too much effort into the idea of accomplishing a goal someone else said wasn't possible. Now, the good news is it doesn't last, right? That idea is just the spark. It's the germ of the idea. But as you get to spend a little time with the project, you realize that you're in love with it. You're in love with making the sides of the globe just concave enough to where the shadow line makes it look like there is a globe behind that the hand is holding, and not just a piece of wood that's jutting out from the background. There's a lot of joy that can be had in wood carving. all the way from chip carving to the advanced artistic stuff. And there are people that go so far beyond me, it's ridiculous. But yeah, uh, just wanted to give the live stream thing a shot, tell a couple quick stories, and then run away and find out what I did wrong and do it again. So, and I am alone all by myself. That's all right. FX trained me for that. Yeah, I have this weird idea. So I have a chronic pain condition, and that chronic pain condition has elicited many thoughts, as you can imagine. But I came back to a recurring theme, which is there's got to be a reason for this. There's got to be a point, because as arbitrary as life can be, I am not convinced that we don't have something to do while we're here on this planet doing this thing. And I sat and thought about that for a while, and I'm like, well, what's the flaw in my personality that's just persistent? It never stops. It's patience. It's like, oh, okay. And once you've taken on kind of spec the idea that your role in this life is to learn patience, then it's not a huge jump to think, well, maybe I sent me down in this situation to teach patience. Maybe that was the deal. I don't know. That story certainly made it feel a little more palatable. It's no more simple to understand or live with. But the pity, woe is me, why is this happening questions were replaced with, ooh, what's the universe trying to tell me, and how can I learn from it? What can I garner from this experience? How can I learn to be at peace with what's happening around me? Once the ownership of the idea is yours, then it's the discussion changes. You're no longer a victim of something. You're actually a participant, an active participant in the learning of the lessons you came here. But if you honestly own the idea that you made the choice to come down on this rock, and that you have something that you're supposed to do, and that to learn what that something is and then pursue it until you have a reasonable grasp on things, and then the oddest thing happens when you fulfill most of the criteria of your self-defined goal. Suddenly life feels like it's a lot easier. Many of the things that beset your mind in the past no longer exist because you picked it. You chose this bloody thing. So what's to whine about? Really, the question is, do I know what the heck I'm supposed to do? And then from that, how do I do it? How do I go about learning that lesson and getting the most out of the life? And I don't know, that idea is powerful. It's got legs on it. I think because this world can be so arbitrary that any opportunity to provide some structure around that is desirable. And bugger whether it's true or not, if it improves life, it's all I'm after. I have no interest in this chase towards, well, is it real or is it true? I say, bugger it. Does it help or does it hurt? Because that's my life, right? Is something helping me, or is something causing stress and pain and anxiety and all of the things that make my neck go ballistic? If you've selected this, then, it's yours, own it, and then go through the process of, what do I need to learn? What am I here to learn? What can I do to help other people while I'm learning? And that's when things really changed, when the focus came off of me, um, because I have reasonably legitimate reasons to kind of zero in on self and try and figure out how to make this experience better. But the better question to ask the whole time was, how can I help other people? How can I give of myself in a way that assists someone else in their travels, help them find what they're supposed to be proving in this life, and then through either demonstration or direct assistance coaching, whatever it is, help that person find theirs and learn how to see it in the world around them, so that when you are in the frame of mind to tackle parts of you that need to be improved, then you can make it happen, and there's no excuses, and you're never wondering why something is happening to you. The question is always, okay, this is interesting. What am I supposed to learn? How am I supposed to react differently to what I had previously done? And from that, what improvements might be made if I chose this path instead of this path? It's an interesting idea. Take it on, see if it fits you. But for me, at least, the ownership of it's my trip, and I asked for some really extreme stuff, and I'm getting it, and it's more than I can handle in some cases, and in some cases I've learned my lessons. Um, Theoretically and pedagogically speaking, I've gone through the process of understanding what is this patient thing I'm supposed to learn, and have taken on board the idea that Marcus Aurelius is right. If it's not part of your thoughts, your reactions, your experiences, or your engagement with the world, you cannot control it. You can do nothing about it. And all you can do is focus on what you can do. So putting the ownership of the story on yourself is more of a way to kind of set ownership around the things I choose to care about and the things I choose to attempt to control. Because at the end of the day, none of us control anything. We are all uh, using free will to navigate a deterministic pinball machine. And free will or not, I don't think anybody can answer that question. But I do know that when I make the choices that improve me, my experience is better. And when I choose to ignore them, run from them, or in any other way say, then it's not pretty. And it's not pretty for a reason. It's the universe trying to say, you're off script, bro. You need to go find a way to make this better. And it keeps talking. It keeps telling me, and I keep learning. So namaste. Hope you all are well. And we'll chat again at some point.